A rising tide lifts all boats, predicting district-wide results on high-stakes standardized tests and achieving more. Toward a model for CST performance. My model was constructed using data from our 2010 Algebra 2 students. I collected data from Ms. Gaseo that included CST scores from Algebra 2 and the 2 prior years, as well as a lot of information on the classroom that they took the Algebra 2 class in. Past performance on Algebra 1 and Geometry CSTs explained about 66% of the total variation in student scores, no matter what type of modeling function was chosen, be it linear, polynomial, exponential. The higher performing students and lower performing students both outperform a linear model. So basically what you see when you use a linear model is that there's a curve up in the residuals at either end. So that led me to believe that a polynomial model of degree 2, in other words a parabola, would yield the flattest residuals, and it did. There's no pattern around the prediction line when you use a parabola. Interesting. It took me a long time to find that. Myths debunked. The bullets here describe 3 factors that teachers I've talked to and myself commonly believe to influence student performance. And these are beliefs that the data does not support. Big surprise to me. Each factor explains 0.1% or less of total variation of the residuals after the effective student preparation is subtracted out. In short, they have no effect. Period of the day. How many times have you heard that the first periods of the day are sluggish, the last periods of the day are crazy? No effect. Number of periods of Algebra 2 the teacher taught. How many times have you suspected that if you only teach 1 period, you're just not going to do as well? Well, not so much. Actually, there was no effect there. And the number of students in the Algebra 2 classroom, that had the largest effect, but the effect was actually tiny. It was just the largest of these 3 negligible factors. It was slightly positive, and that may just mean that we pack more able students into a classroom because we know we can handle them and have smaller classrooms for the less able. So these 3, at least as far as the data that I have suggests, are they have no effect. They are myths. So what does matter? The students passed. The most significant factor by far is the student's prior Algebra 1 and Geometry CST scores. This measures how well past teachers have prepared the student, support for academics at home, and the student's native aptitude and ability in mathematics. This isn't shocking to me. It's maybe shocking to see how much of the variation can be explained using these 2 factors. 2/3. Wow, that's pretty incredible. Also, I found something after much searching called the tide effect. I'm calling it the tide effect to kind of explain what it is. I'm going to try to explain it to you now. In some classrooms, a majority is expected to be proficient or higher. We're talking the gifted classes, the more precocious classes. Think 9th grade Algebra 2. In a classroom like that, the less able minority performs better than expected, better than their peers in classrooms where the average expectation is, closer to the proficient level or lower. The students who are near advanced and advanced perform as expected. They're not dragged down by the minority in these classes, at least in the classes that I looked at. Trouble is that there isn't a lot of data that confirms this. No data denies it. Every single class I looked at that had a significant number of proficient or near proficient students, where the average was strongly proficient or even advanced. In every one of those classrooms, you saw this effect, that the kids who were low were pulled up. But we just don't have a lot of them because in our district we group all of the very able students together in high ability classrooms. Think again 9th grade Algebra 2. And we don't put them together with kids that are near proficient. Now, the juicy part of my presentation is this. The tide effect, I think, could be used to work for us as a district to raise proficiency levels. The average gain for near proficient students was 15 to 25 points on their scaled CST score. And a gain of that magnitude for all the near proficient Algebra 2 students in 2010 would have meant that we could have increased proficiency that year by between 30 and 50%. So say 50%. That means we were getting 38%. We could have had 55% or so. We did have in 2010 enough proficient and advanced students to create majority proficient classrooms for all of our near proficient students. In 2010, I think the numbers were, I think it was something like 320 advanced and proficient and 124 near proficient. So you can tell that if you group those students correctly, you could end up with some number of classrooms and with an average expectation of performance that would be well above proficient. So we could do this. And last but not least, the teacher also matters. Of course, the impact of each teacher can be measured by subtracting the effect of student preparation and the tide effect out of the CST results. We could then calculate the average residual CST score from all the teacher's students, and that score can measure the teacher's performance in Algebra 2 in that year. The ability of a teacher's students does not influence this statistic. That's the nice thing about it. Of course, caveat, the more data we have on a teacher, the better the statistic indicates a teacher's performance. The reverse is also true. If we don't have very much data on a teacher, then it's not going to indicate very much about the teacher's performance. However, it was it had a significant effect on the overall outcome. So I'm thinking that we might be able to use this model to decide which teachers we need to look to as ideals. Maybe we could study how certain teachers teach if they are revealed to be superior performing teachers. That's what I hope we could get out of this. Well, thank you for listening to my little presentation. I hope it's of use to you, and thank you very much for the data. I hope to work with you more in the future on similar projects.